Are you ready to embark on a journey of exploration and unlock the magic of your wonder? There is so much more in the universe than we have been shown. It is time to ask those questions, dissolve those barriers, and embrace your extraordinary life. Here is your fellow explorer in the realm of curiosity and discovery, with almost 20 years of inviting people to embrace the greatness of them, Donnielle Carter.
Hello and welcome everybody to the exploration of wonder. I have to chuckle because, every once in a while I really listen to the words of the open and the joiner and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, and then in the open today, I was like, don't you just wish there was more out in the world or something like that? I'm like, yes, that's why we're here. Yes, there has to be more. And you know what, my friends, there is. There really is. And today, let me ask you a question. Have we been lied to about the virtue and strength of the state of overcoming? How do we know when we've actually overcome something? What does that feel like? And is overcoming actually possible? This is the slightly controversial topic we are exploring today. I am your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle, and I have been, I've been exploring this universe my whole life, but energetically, almost 20 years now. And it's such an eye-opener, even though energy technically, I guess, is not really a visible spectrum thing. I know some people can see auras and colors, and that's awesome. I don't. But studying this energy has really been an eye-opening thing because I am really coming to realize how much of the energy is at the basis of so much of our lives. It is at the basis of change. It is at the basis of no change, and it's the basis of all possibility out there. And so this is kind of the crux of the exploration of wonder, the show you are listening to or watching. And I am so honored to be your fellow explorer, exploring this with you, and allowing me to share with you some of the things that I've discovered or uncovered and explored previously. And I tell you what, with each show, I get something out of it too. Some days I can't tell you, my friends, how much it's like, oh, I needed to hear this today too. Thank you very much. I put on my Facebook post today a post I did 8 years ago. It was a Facebook memory, and it was the post from 8 years ago said, "Today you are going to make a choice that will create your future." And I'm like, oh, I love when my past reminds me in the present to create my future. And so I reposted that. I'm like, yeah. So today, my friends, we will make choices that will create our future. And so what kind of choices would we like to create today? All right. So I teased you a little bit about what we were talking about with the stop overcoming. Some of you are coming to here just for that because that's the title of the show, Stop Overcoming. And you're like, then what else am I supposed to do, right? Now, by the very basic, I'm a fan of overcoming, okay? I really am. This isn't one of those things where they're like, stop overcoming. Overcoming as a concept, I'm a fan of. As an actualization, I'm also a big fan of. Okay? Because by definition, overcoming is to succeed in dealing with a problem or difficulty. I love it. To defeat an opponent, there's a few opponents I'd like to throw a punch. How about you? And defeat them. To prevail, to overpower, overwhelm. This is my favorite part, she was overcome with excitement. I love that was the example. She was overcome with excitement. Oh, I'm so overwhelmed. Fainting couches, right? But, so by itself, I'm a fan of overcoming. I really am. How many of us think we have a problem and we must overcome it, change it, do something different? So if overcoming isn't the problem, then what the hell am I talking about? Well, have you ever heard anybody declare things like, I will overcome, and it's like this battle cry. Well, then how many people become that as their state of being? They just will it's like, I'm going to overcome. What are you doing? I'm overcoming this disease, this limitation, this, excuse me, this problem. I will overcome it. And then that becomes their whole world. So that's kind of what I want to look at today and see where we're doing this in small doses or large doses to where we've made it all about the overcoming. Okay. So let's look at what happens energetically. There's that word again. Let's look at what happens energetically when we go into a state of overcoming. Okay. So what is one of the first things we do? We see a problem. Okay. I'm going to give you an example of a client. A couple of clients, may have been me in the past too, but one thing that comes up with a lot of my clients is this anger. They're angry. Okay. So they're like, I will overcome my anger. And then they smile at you and you want to run away because they're only projecting anger at that point. Okay. So what happens energetically? You see a problem. In our case that we're examining today, anger. I have an anger problem. Okay. So what's the first thing you do when you identify a problem? Well, if you're actually looking to change it, then you look at it. You see where the weakness is, what you think is a weakness, what can change, all that kind of stuff, right? So you really examine it. And with this scenario, it's like this person would say, well, I'm reactionary. I inherit it from my mom. And people are just dumb. I should be angry with them. That was one of my favorite responses. I asked somebody one time, it's like, okay, so what is this anger? What is? She's like, well, people are just dumb. I'm like, some can be, and what else, right? And then we started getting really to the heart of things of like, I'm wrong to be even angry, or if I'm angry, then I have a weakness, or if I'm angry, I'm showing frailty, or it was really interesting. And some people are like, I'm angry, so it means I'm potent. And anyways, the show's not about anger, but we can see how all these different things, right? And then it's like, okay, well, how do we change that? What would you like to change? How would you like to change this anger thing? Overcome it. And I will not be angry anymore. I'm like, all right, good luck with that. And what else would you like to do? And they're like, I'm going to overcome it, right? And so there's various tips and tricks and all this kind of stuff, okay? And I'll get into lots of tips and tricks. I'm not just going to say you're screwed. I have a lot of tips at the end. And so when it was like, okay, so how are you going to not be angry anymore? But then my other question really confused them. How will you know when you're done? How will you know when you're not angry anymore? And they were like, well, I won't react. Okay. But are you not reacting or out of habit, or are you still angry? And you're just not showing the physical symptoms. It's like, how will you know when you're actually done? And so let's look at this energetically. Okay. We first identify, quote unquote, a problem. And one thing I know about energy is the more you define it, the more you solidify it. Okay. So what's interesting is we have this anger problem, quote unquote, and then you claim it. I have an anger problem. You get a badge, right? I have an anger problem. And what does that do? It solidifies in your universe. It begins to solidify that you have an anger problem that you must overcome, that you must fix and change. So it creates that first kink, that first solid lump in your universe is, I have an anger problem. I've solidified it. I know what this is now. I have it. I'm like, okay, cool. And then you look at it, you examine it. Well, how can you examine it? You have to solidify it more. Because how often do we examine things that aren't there? No. What do? We go to find them. Well, let me find where I put that anger problem. I know I solidified it somewhere. Is it in my butt? Is it in the far corner of my universe? Oh, wait a minute. My universe doesn't even have corners. Where is it? Is it behind me? Right? It's like, where did I stash that anger problem? So you have to solidify it more so you can look at it and examine it and see what to change it, how to change it. And then after that, you put your plan into action. This is going to change it. This is what's going to make me not be angry anymore. I'm going to be in a world with no people. That will make me not angry anymore. By the way, that one never works. Okay? So you have this solidify a problem by claiming it. I have this problem. I have this pain, suffering, disease, emotional issue. I have it. I've claimed it. Solidify it. To be able to look at it, to examine it, you have to solidify it more so it's more there. It's thicker, it's denser, and then you're like, yeah, there it is. There's my problem. Okay? Energetically, we're looking at all this stuff. And then the how do I know when I'm done? Whether it's somebody like me asking you or you're asking yourself, like, how do I know I'm done? How do I know I'm done when I have gotten over my anger problem? Well, here's the fun part, okay? Because this is where we tend to step into this energy of I will overcome my anger problem. Woohoo! I will overcome my anger problem. And then this is where we bring in that state of overcome. Let me go back to the definition of overcome. Overcome, if I can find it, to succeed in dealing with a problem or difficulty, to defeat an opponent, to prevail, or to overpower or overwhelm. Okay. So, to succeed, that's the first words in there, to succeed in dealing with a problem or difficulty. How do you know if you've dealt with it? I would love to say if it's just not there anymore, and that's where we're going to get to. But what do most people do? What do most people do when they are wondering if they have overcome something? If they have made that turn into, I have no longer been an angry person. They compare. They look at it and go, well, I'm less reactionary and therefore less angry than I was yesterday. Okay, but today I was a little bit more angry than I was yesterday, but I'm still less angry than I was a month ago, right? We start getting into this compare thing, this evaluation. But how do we know? I mean, because you guys have all heard that in some way. I'm healthier than I was. I'm not as far as I want to be, but I'm healthier than I was. Or, excuse me, or I'm still angry, but I'm less angry. I'm not as reactionary, but I am less angry than I was a month ago, whatever it is. We always have these time restraints, these proof of doing the work, of I'm making progress, right? It's a progress report to ourselves. Here's one of the first problems I really see with this is how do we know the progress that we've made? Again, looking at energy or, whether it's a bank account balance or anything like that. It's like, how do you know about the progress? You compare it to the original, right? Any good scientist, any good, what do you call it? Those people in a lab people, experiments. Any good experiment knows there is a base to create and compare to, right? And I forget what the technical word is, but it's like the control group, right? The control base. It's like, okay, we started with 3, and so we know we're going to go from 3, and then we're going to keep coming back from what it looks like. If it's more than 3, then we know what progress we're making. Oh, we're making 6, and we've doubled, and all that kind of stuff, right? So you have this base group to start with. They keep comparing back to the base group. They keep comparing back to the base group. They keep comparing back to the base group. So let's say your quote-unquote problem is this anger problem. You're keep going back to compare it to how originally angry you were to see if you're less angry. This does so many things energetically. First of all, it keeps that original anger problem or problem that you've defined solid. because you have to go find it. How do you know if you've changed it all? You still have to recognize the original problem. And so you've made it your control group and it's solid, right? And then let's say you're magical and you're just like, oh, that stuff's gone. Oh yeah, I remember when I was angry. No, it's just gone. And they're like, well, how much of your anger have you overcome? And you're like, let me think about that. And then you reach out into your universe energetically. And if you can't find that base group of anger, that original problem that you solidified, what are you going to do, my magical being? You're going to recreate it. You're going to reintroduce it into your universe so that you have that base group again, so you can know how far you've come, so you know if you're overcoming it or if it's overcoming you, right? How far away are you from that original problem? Well, let me keep it solid in my universe so I can compare. Or if it's not there anymore because I've actually truly just dissipated it, let me recreate it so I know how much to compare myself to, okay? So this is at the crux of the problem in the situation of overcoming, is we constantly have to have this energetic solid mass of our problem defined, solidified in our universe to be able to compare it to see if we've changed it all. All that does is it keeps it in your universe as a very solid matter and keeps you in a state of overcoming, okay? So it's just the tip of the iceberg. I have lots more to say about this. And like I said, I have tips and tricks. I'm not just going to leave you stranded and be like, have a good day with trying to overcome, but don't try to overcome. Just, change it. I will give you lots of tips and tricks a little bit later, okay? But we're going to go to our first commercial break, which I'm very excited about. Not sure why. I don't know, because things are just exciting. But you are listening to The Exploration of Wonder. I am your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle Carter, a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, empowerment, intuitive coach, sarcastic being, but ultimately and always in your corner of helping you to change anything. And if you want to have a private chat with me, which we call sessions, please do reach out to hello@donnielle.com, or even better, go to my website, donnielle.com, DONNIELLE.com. And there's so many different types of sessions on there that I offer, as well as classes and all that kind of stuff. So please do check it out. But you are watching or listening to The Exploration of Wonder on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Ever feel like there's more to life than meets the eye? A sense of wonder just beyond your grasp? Are you ready to create a life that inspires you so much that each day you are excited to wake up and live it? Join Donnielle Carter, a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, weekly as she explores the universe on the exploration of wonder. Explore everything from harnessing the power of your mindset to connecting with your intuition and harnessing the energetic forces around us. With a blend of humor, warmth, directness, and a dash of cheekiness, Donnielle shares easy-to-use, pragmatic, yet magical techniques you can implement immediately to infuse your life with wonder. Join us as we navigate the fascinating landscapes of the seen and unseen, and together create lives filled with joy, purpose, and boundless possibility.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Exploration of Wonder with your guide, Donnielle. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to hello@donnielle.com. Now back to the exploration.
Welcome back, my friends, to the Exploration of Wonder. I am your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle, and I am so excited that you've joined me here today. Whether it's live with me now, which you're more than welcome to do at any time, every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, or if you're watching live in the future, because I know you're probably not watching not live. And so thank you so much for taking the time to explore this universe with me. And please acknowledge yourself in that. Too often we're not told to acknowledge ourselves enough, but it is true that when we can acknowledge ourselves, the entire world gets greater. So please acknowledge yourself for taking this time for you, for your universe, for your self-compassion, and just taking this time for you to explore the universe of you, okay? Because your universe is a beautiful thing. All right, my friends, so today we're talking about stop overcoming. And I explored in the first part of the show, kind of walked you through energetically what happens when we get into that state of I will overcome. Does this happen 100% of the time? No, absolutely not. Otherwise, I don't know, that'd be an interesting world. But I do know it does happen more often than we think it does. And, a personal one, if I may share, it's like I used to be constantly trying to overcome my body, okay? I was always like, I have a weight problem. And then first, and remember, we're looking at it energetically, right? So I claimed it, I have a weight problem. And then it became who I was. I am Donnielle, I have a weight problem. And then what's interesting is because of my childhood and who my mother was, who I was, and all that kind of stuff, the struggle and the overcoming of it became who I was as well. I was applauded for, you keep going. I was so strong, right? You were so strong to keep going. One of these days it'll change, you just keep going. And it's like, okay, this is Donnielle, she has a weight problem, and congratulations, she's always overcoming it. Good for her. She's not letting it get her down. She keeps going. Any of you relate to that? And it doesn't have to be about weight, but it's like, how many things out there that you are applauded for because you're constantly overcoming it. You're constantly not letting it get you down, right? Could be money, it could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be a family crisis, it could be a number of things. But how often are you applauded because you're always able to overcome it? Okay? Yeah, producer just said, look at Christine, no matter what happens, she overcomes it. How many of us have allowed ourselves definition of self to become we're constantly in the overcoming? And my sister would say something very similar to me. She's like, I know no matter what life throws at you, you can overcome it. She meant it as a compliment. She really did. These things aren't said maliciously, sometimes jealously, but not always maliciously. And so energetically we go, I have strength when I'm overcoming. Okay? Which leads me to another part of this. Can you become addicted to overcoming? How many of you just went, oh crap, with that one because you realize the truth of it? Absolutely. We can become addicted to the energy and persona and evolution and progress of overcoming. But let's look at this energetically again. Excuse me. So let's look at this moment where this person has an anger problem. She's getting celebrated because she's every day getting less and less angry. Okay? Every day she's applauded like, oh, you're working on it, you're so good. And while it kind of pisses her off and kind of makes her angry that people are like, oh, look at you, you're overcoming your anger, well, her initial reaction is, screw you, man. Yes, you're right. I am overcoming this anger thing. I'm overcoming it. Every day is better. Every day is better. But look at it, whether it's anger, body, health, any kind of situation. How often are you applauded, right, for overcoming it every day? So energetically, what happens? Oh, I get strong. I am strong. I am seen as strong. I'm seen as potent. People look at me this way and I like it when I am overcoming. And so what do? Is we then love our being in state of overcoming. So we've asked to end this. We've asked to outcreate this problem, to end this problem, to win over, right? But then if we're only getting applauded when we are told we are strong, when we're in that state of overcoming, will we ever allow that initial problem to go away? We won't. Because we're proving our strength and our potency by overcoming. And so we're like, okay, well, I have to keep that problem there, solidify it even more, not just for comparison, but so that people know I'm constantly overcoming. So I know I'm constantly overcoming, that I have value in my life, not only to other people, but to myself, because I am overcoming this, constantly in a state of overcoming. And then every step, those hormones fire, the happy hormones, serotonin and dopamine, are like, woo, got my hit of that because I'm a little bit further along, right? So in this way, yes, we can actually become addicted to overcoming. And, and it's interesting how it's almost like a universal thing that's seen as strong and potent, that if you're overcoming. And what's interesting about this is, when I was talking about that, it just reminded me, I've created a body that doesn't really like alcohol. Some days, trust me, I wish it did, okay? But it doesn't. My body doesn't like alcohol. I knew that at a very early age. So I never really drank, okay? It never appealed to me. When looking at your body's communicating to you, it was really one of the first things that my body very clearly communicated to me was, alcohol is not for us this lifetime. Okay. So what's interesting is, as I've gotten older and people say, oh, you're not drinking? And I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, are you an alcoholic? And I'm like, no, I never drank. My body never wanted it. Their opinion of me goes down. They would have seen me as a stronger, more potent person if I had been alcoholic, and then in that constant state of overcoming every single day to not drink. They valued that as higher than me choosing as a kid to just never drink. Okay? And this is not to slam people who are alcoholics and working on that sobriety. Hallelujah. Let me know if I can contribute. You guys are awesome. Okay? But I do find it interesting that when I was having this conversation with people, that they would go, oh, are you an alcoholic? Are you like overcoming drinking? Are you like working on that every day? And I'm like, no, I just never drank. And they go, oh, well, okay. Literally, they would make faces at me and be like, okay, whatever. I'm like, wow. I actually had a guy not want to date me because I didn't drink. Because it was really interesting how that was seen. But you see, that energy of overcoming, how many of us find power and potency and acceptance from others? Because, look, I have this problem, but I'm not letting it stop me. And then they go, good girl, boy, you do it. You keep going. Okay? How many people actually celebrate when you just don't have the problem anymore? Okay? Because if you notice, really look at this. Even the people are like, oh, yes, she used to be an alcoholic. Oh, yes, she used to be fat. Oh, yes, she used to be shy. Oh, yes, she used to have no money. She used to be poverty. They're still putting you in that state of overcoming instead of that state of, I overcame it. It's gone. It's not even in my universe anymore. And just really quickly, no, and I use that example of shy because I used to be really shy, like dynamically. Oh my gosh. It was hilarious how shy I was, like comedy movie show, flop sweats shy, if I had to do public speaking. And I stopped overcoming it and used some of the tips I'm going to start giving you next segment. And I just let it go. I changed it. So it was nowhere in my universe, to the point of where I like forgot that I was shy. I was in front of a room talking to people, and I'm like, wait a minute, didn't I used to be shy? Because when you're not in the constant state of overcoming, the solidity of that energy actually dissipates so that you forget you even had this quote unquote problem because it's no longer a driving force. See, and that's really the detriment of being stuck in this state of overcoming is you are solidifying that problem, defining it as you, and then it's constantly that solid mass lump in your universe that's making your universe less flowy, less expansive. Okay, so we're going to go for our next break. And when we come back, I'm going to start talking to you about tips and tricks and all of that kind of stuff about how to get rid of a problem without solidifying it and creating it in that constant state of overcoming. All right. All right, my friends, you are listening to The Exploration of Wonder with me, your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle. And if you want to check out my website, that would be awesome. There's a lot of fun stuff on there, some free downloads you can download right now, a lot of products, classes. I always have classes going on. And if you want to have a session, it's a great place to get a hold of me. So this is Exploration of Wonder on the Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Ever feel like there's more to life than meets the eye? A sense of wonder just beyond your grasp? Are you ready to create a life that inspires you so much that each day you are excited to wake up and live it? Join Donnielle Carter, a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, weekly as she explores the universe on the exploration of wonder. Explore everything from harnessing the power of your mindset to connecting with your intuition and harnessing the energetic forces around us. With a blend of humor, warmth, directness, and a dash of cheekiness, Donnielle shares easy-to-use, pragmatic, yet magical techniques you can implement immediately to infuse your life with wonder. Join us as we navigate the fascinating landscapes of the seen and unseen, and together create lives filled with joy, purpose, and boundless possibility.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Exploration of Wonder with your guide, Donnielle. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to hello@donnielle.com. Now back to the exploration.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Exploration of Wonder with me, Donnielle, your host and fellow explorer. And my cat has showed up, so if you see something in little here in the corner, this would be Bree. She's actually the one in charge, as anybody with pets and animals know, right? All right, so today we're talking about overcoming, like stop overcoming. And she can't stop. She can play, but she can't step on my keypad. All right, so we're talking about stop overcoming. First two segments, I really went into the energy of it. How, what we do to ourselves, how we solidify our problem, how we solidify our base group of like, oh, this is what I know I am overcoming, and then I'm going to compare it to that constantly and all of that kind of stuff, right? Bree usually comes in when she's like, you're being way too serious. You need to relax a little bit. Animals are really good for that. So now what? Okay. We've talked about the addiction to overcoming. We've talked about the solidifying of the problem to overcome and all of that kind of stuff. So what do we do? What do we do instead? And it was interesting because I did research on this, as I always do. I'm a research nerd. And I always like to see what other people are saying and then, pull the energy from it. And a lot of them were just like, just let it go. And I don't know about you, but if I was 20 years ago and I was like, hey, I have this problem, I would really like to overcome it. How do I do it? And they're like, just let it go. I think I'd want to like throat punch them, because if I could have just let it go, I would have done that. Give me more, right? So while it is not just let it go, there is a truth to that, okay? But it's not just so simple as like, oh, let it go. You know, I made the mistake of saying that to my nephew the other day. I didn't say that. I'm like, hey, that's not your rock. You don't have to put it up. He's like, oh, yeah, I'd like to put that down. I'm like, yeah, that was the wrong thing to say to my nephew. Never try to facilitate your family unless they really asked for it. Just saying. So what do you do instead? Okay. Well, one of the first things I invite you to do is to look at the true nature of what you're calling a problem. Okay. Where does it come from? Acknowledge the situation and look at it, but without judgment. Because I know I said at the beginning, when you look at a problem, you solidify it and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely, you can do that, but it's not 100%. Because if you're looking at it with judgment, if you're looking at it of this is what's wrong, you're going to solidify it. But if you're looking at it with what is going on here? What do I need to become aware of? That's when you're going to see the situation, what it is, and then you can see how to change it from there, okay? So if you're looking at it from the wrongness, this is my problem, I have to make it stop, that's all judgment, that's all a solidification energy. But if you can look at it and go, what's going on here? Like, what is this? I mean, I get it, you can be frustrated. Like, what the hell is this? But really, if you look at it with judgment, it's like, what's going on? That opens the doors to energies and possibilities coming into you that allow you to shift and change it and actually just dissipate it, let it go, or whatever it is, instead of solidifying it so you can examine it. Okay, so that's one of the first things, is to look at the problem that you're calling a problem. And I have a whole thing about words and languaging. Check out one of my shows. I think I said what you say creates or something. What's the energy of a word? Something like that. Check out that show if you want to. I go all into the energy of words. So maybe even just don't call it a problem, because by the very nature saying, hey, this is a problem, you solidify it. Instead, you notice when I asked you to look at it and go, okay, what is this? What's going on here? I didn't want you to say, what problem is this? But what is this? Okay. So when you go into a situation with that, the energy is more fluid, which is the target of all of this, is the energy being fluid. Okay. And be nice to yourself. Oh my gosh, it is so interesting how often this comes up as like, oh, something you can do. And people are like, oh, I can do that. Self-compassion is a key with this. Okay. So be nice to yourself and practice self-compassion. So what would that look like? Instead of overcoming, what would self-compassion look like? Well, if, somebody has a quote unquote anger problem, and then they're like, I'm such a bad person, or I'm so weak for being angry. There's no self-compassion in that. There's nothing but judgment. So what you want to do is you're like, okay, I know I can be reactionary. Don't judge it. And if you find yourself judging it, use whatever tool you have at your disposal to shift that energy, right? Sage it, shake your butt, turn the molecules, whatever it is. Because it's not about the judgment of it, it's about the awareness of what's going on. So you have to practice that self-compassion. And when you're able to look at what is going on, that is one of the gifts of self-compassion. I know a lot of people think self-compassion is massages and taking time for yourself, and absolutely, please do. I love massages and I love taking time for yourself and all that kind of stuff. But what else? What else could be self-compassion? Well, looking at a situation without judging it is actually self-compassion, because then you're not defining yourself as wrong or bad or horrible. You're just looking at the situation and going, okay, this is what I've created. What would I like to do with it? All right. So self-compassion in this and being nice to yourself is not thinking, if you say anything like, I'm such a dumbass, I can't believe I did that, or I'm such a piece of crap, that is not self-compassion. It's quite the opposite. Okay. So self-compassion is allowing yourself to look at the situation and not judging it or judging you for being in that situation. Because I know that comes up a lot with overcome, is people are like, I can't believe I got myself this situation. I have to overcome it. Well, if you're judging that you're a dumbass for getting yourself in the situation, you're just solidifying the problem. Okay. So, please do that. please do that. That was really elegant. So please show some self-compassion to yourself. All right. And here's the other thing is, I said at the beginning, we can look at it, we solidify it to look at it, and then we put this plan into place, and it's like, this is the way I'm going to overcome it. None of those by themselves are a bad thing. It's when you're energetically solidifying it. And I think if you guys are listening to my shows at all or worked with me at all, you're really beginning to see how it's the energy of it. And so one of the other things I've noticed that a lot of people do with this is how I'm going to overcome it, is they solidify that action. Okay. Probably my best way to show an example of this is, have any of you ever gone on a diet and lost some weight? And then let's say 10 years down the road, you've gained the weight back, and then you go, okay, well, last time I went on a diet and I lost weight, I did this. So I'm going to do that again. So you solidify that path without actually asking what your body requires at this time. So we will solidify a pathway, and that also puts us into that constant state of overcoming. Because like with the weight thing, people are like, well, I've reached a plateau. I just have to push through. I'm just going to keep doing the same thing. That puts you into that constant state of overcoming as well. Because how many of us have defined ourselves in that state of overcoming, right? I will overcome. I will overcome. So what the tip is you have to be willing to adapt and flow with the energy. Okay. I've seen a lot of people go, well, I'm just not going to do anything. I'm just going to let the universe do it. It's like, no, you have to actually take action. You actually have to go forward, but you don't shove the universe out. You don't shove the whispers of your body, of guide, source, whatever you want to call it, of giving information, of being like, hey, that was great for a week. Now let's do something different. Oh yeah, that was great for 3 days. Now let's do something different. Let's go over here. And so when you're willing to be that adapt and flow, it takes you out of that state of overcoming and actually puts you into the state of communion with your body, the universe, anything it is. And so you're constantly going, okay, and what else? And moving and flowing, and you're malleable and flexible, okay? Which actually puts me into the next tip, is be willing to ask questions, okay? Because a lot of us will go, okay, well, I'm going to overcome it, and this is how I'm going to overcome it, like I was just talking about. And then if you're not willing to adapt and be in the flow, you completely 100% stop asking questions. And I've done shows on that, like, I think, about how a question's awesome. Because a question opens the doors to the universe. Actually, that was the first episode, or the first podcast. Asking a question opens the door to the universe, giving you their secrets, telling you things, giving you information. Because when you have made this is the way it is, and this is the path, you in essence, you shut that door. And then the universe is on the other side going, tap, 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 knock, knock, knock. I have other things for you. Are you willing to listen? Tap, hello, hello. But we're like, no, I'm on this path. Done. And then we put our head down and bowl through, and most of the time it doesn't work. So when you're willing to ask questions, be like, what is required of me today? How can I change this? What is going on here? You allow the universe or your body or whatever else to give you that information. And a couple of my favorite questions, just really quickly, is what have I already decided will work here? Okay, because sometimes it's a question of like, what do I do? But then sometimes you're asking a question for information, and one of those informations is, what have I already decided would work? Because that's a solidification. Instead of saying, hey, will this work? It's, what have I decided will work? And then, what have I already decided won't work? And if you're only going to ask one, I encourage you to ask both, but if you're only going to ask one, please look at that. What have I already decided won't work? Because it might not have worked 10 years ago, but it might work now. And so everything you've already gone like, that won't work, there's still some great things there that might work. So you have to ask those questions. It's like, oh, well, maybe I could shift and change this. Okay. What is the root cause of this? What am I reacting to? There's a multitude of questions out there that can open the door to information and the receiving. So we're going to go on our last commercial break. And if you have a show topic that you would like to explore with me on the exploration of wonder, please do email it to hello@donnielle.com, because I would love to know what you're curious about too. I'm curious about a lot of things, and I would love to know what you're curious about. So please drop me a line at hello@donnielle.com and let me know what you think would be a great topic to explore on the exploration of wonder. All right. So you are listening or watching to the Exploration of Wonder on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Ever feel like there's more to life than meets the eye? A sense of wonder just beyond your grasp? Are you ready to create a life that inspires you so much that each day you are excited to wake up and live it? Join Donnielle Carter, a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, weekly as she explores the universe on the exploration of wonder. Explore everything from harnessing the power of your mindset to connecting with your intuition and harnessing the energetic forces around us. With a blend of humor, warmth, directness, and a dash of cheekiness, Donnielle shares easy-to-use, pragmatic, yet magical techniques you can implement immediately to infuse your life with wonder. Join us as we navigate the fascinating landscapes of the seen and unseen, and together create lives filled with joy, purpose, and boundless possibility. This is the Exploration of Wonder with your guide, Donnielle. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to hello@donnielle.com. Now back to the exploration.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Exploration of Wonder with me, your host, Donnielle, and your fellow explorer. And if you have enjoyed the show, please give me a 5-star rating review on iTunes. Search the Exploration of Wonder. I would be very grateful, and really this would assist in getting the information out to those who require it, need it, or would benefit from it. You know, that's why we do these podcasts. It's not just to hear myself talk. I listen to that enough. It really is to explore the universe and share it with you. So if that is light for you to do, please consider doing that. All right, so a few more quick tips on stop overcoming. I know we're actually coming to the top of the hours. The shows go so fast. Oh my gosh. But a couple that I really want to make sure that you hear is, one of them, meditate. I know. I never thought I would be a person who meditates. It cracks me up even suggesting this. I mean, for like decades, I was like, I'm not meditating. That's silly. And now I'm like, I love meditating. But really, the more I get into the quantum physics of it all, to me, it's an action. Before, I hadn't really seen it as an action. I acknowledge it, that I was a superior little jerk about it. And when I say meditate, it doesn't have to be like an hour or anything. I'm talking like 5 minutes, just something to help you get really present in your life and then work with the universe out there. Because when you are putting out there and constantly in the state of overcoming, you constantly have to create things to overcome. And then the universe will give you what you're asking for. So when you're in that state of constantly overcoming, the universe and you will create more things for you to overcome. So even just a 5-minute meditation helps you get present. So it helps you, instead of being that scattered, it helps you be present in your life so you can ask those questions, receive those information, and then work with the quantum field to actually create the future that you desire instead of the frantic, frenetic, chaotic universe that we tend to function from in, okay? And it also help you get out of that, well, I'm comfortable in my state of overcoming, because you don't know what else is out there. So when I say meditate, like I said, I hear myself saying it, and younger me's going, are you serious? And I'm like, yes, actually I am. Okay. So like I said, the more I get into the quantum physics of it, and if you want to see some of that, you can listen to my podcast called Science Proves Magic is Real, because it really gets into the nerd aspect of that. Okay. And then one of the other things is, one thing you really want to do is focus on creation. And this is one thing that will so help you turn the tide, change the tide of that state of overcoming to creating something else in your life. So focus on creation. And if you can't create with what you think your quote unquote problem is, create anything. Create a poem, create a bookshelf, I don't know, create a garden, create a fantasy world, create something, because that energy will help you de-solidify those solid problems that you think you have, okay, that you define that you have. And then you'll see it not as a problem, but just something that is going on in your life, and then you can actually see the path of how to shift and change it. Because when you're in a state of creation, everything is possible. When you're in a state of overcoming, only one thing is possible, and you never allow yourself to get there. So when you open up to those energies of creation, you see that there's multiple paths to get over that problem, that situation, that experience, whatever is going on that you're like, this sucks, I don't want it in my universe anymore. Great. Actually creating helps with that. Okay. I know this sounds crazy. I get it. I would have thought I was crazy 20 years ago, but I've seen it work. I've seen it work for me. I've seen it work for my clients. It works. It really does. So find something to create today. Okay, it'll help you get out of that state of overcoming. And then the last tip that I really want to make sure you guys hear is ask for help. We are not meant to go through this world alone. Okay, and take it from me, somebody who is one of the biggest people I know of, I can do it myself, and I'm not even going to tell you about it, and I'm just going to take care of it. And it's okay, and I don't need anybody else. I don't want to even burden you with my problems. I'm okay. Ask for help. We are not meant to go through this world alone. And I tell you what, those moments where I'm like, this is so heavy, I don't know if I can ever change this, overcome it, the moments when I'm like, hey, can I just talk to you about this? It dissipates. The energy shifts. Find a friend who won't solidify it for you. It's one of those keys. Okay, but please do ask for help, because when it's only in our head, it's huge. But when we share it, it's not as huge. Okay, so I hope you guys are beginning to see overcoming a problem. Great. If you don't have that problem anymore, absolutely. But watch those places where you're solidifying and defining yourself by becoming that state of overcoming. I am constantly overcoming, and the people go, good for you, right? We get addicted to it. And then we keep that solid problem in our universe so we can compare ourselves to. Or we have to recreate it so we know if we've changed it. Oh my gosh. So please do check it out. Listen to the show again, because there was a lot of information in there. And if this is the first time you're hearing about that element of don't overcome, but instead change it, dissipate it, let it go, shift the energies, it's going to be a big one, but I promise it will help you. It will help you change. Has there been something going on in your universe that you're like, it's never changed, or not enough? It hasn't changed enough. If you said things like that, chances are you're in a state of overcome. So please do check it out. All right. And next week will also be a fun show. It's called The Potency of Surrender. This one is a little personal one for me. Those of you who know me know what I'm talking about. So I am putting me and you on the line of looking at the potency of surrender. What does that mean? Not what you think. Okay. Just really is like, what if you're not alone? Okay. So thank you for listening to the Exploration of Wonder with me, your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle. Reach out to hello@donnielle.com if you have any show suggestions. Make it a fun week, a magic week, and be back next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you for exploring with us today. Donnielle returns Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, 1 p.m. Pacific. Until then, be curious, be wonder, and explore the magical universe around you.